I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, June the 6th, 2013. Austria announced today that it will pull its peacekeeping forces out of the Golan Heights because of the increasing spillover of the Syrian civil war along the border between Syria and Israel. The announcement came just hours after Syrian rebels seized a UN-manned border crossing at Quneitra, linking Syria and Israel, as you may have seen on IBA News. Israeli security sources later reported Syrian troops had retaken the border crossing after heavy fighting. Austria's announcement today to withdraw leaves only India and the Philippines with forces in the UN DOF, the United Nations Disengagement Observer Force, that maintains the 1973 ceasefire between Syria and Israel. And Israel is concerned about Austria's withdrawal and its impact. The Israeli Foreign Ministry said that while they appreciate Austria's longtime contribution and commitment to peacekeeping in the Middle East, they regret Austria's decision and hope that it will not be conducive to further escalation in the region. The Foreign Ministry further said that it expected the UN to uphold its commitment under the Security Council resolution of 1974, which put the UNDOF in place following the 1973 Yom Kippur War. UN spokeswoman Josephine Guerrero said that Austria has been the backbone of the peacekeeping mission and that the country's decision today would impact the mission's operational capacity. She said they were in discussions about the timing of the withdrawal as well as in talks with other troop-contributing countries to provide replacements. Austrians account for about 380 of the 1,000-strong UN force monitoring a ceasefire between Syria and Israel. Meanwhile, the Times of Israel reports that Syrians fleeing the fierce fighting near the border tried to escape through the Quneitra crossing into Israel tonight, and that IDF soldiers had sheltered civilians within buildings at the crossing until it was safe to return them back into Syria. President Barack Obama has renewed a 6-month extension waiver on Tuesday, which allows for the U.S. Embassy in Israel to remain in Tel Aviv. The waiver relates to a 1995 law that authorizes the relocation of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. The law also gives the president the power to postpone its implementation every 6 months in the interest of national security. The waiver has been implemented by every U.S. president since the law's passage, allowing the embassy to stay in Tel Aviv, citing that moving the embassy to Jerusalem could hinder Palestinian-Israeli peacemaking and ignite anti-American violence. Also on Tuesday, heads of the bipartisan Congressional Israel Allies Caucus urged the administration to move the embassy to Jerusalem during their Jerusalem Day prayer breakfast in Washington, D.C. Republican Congressman Doug Lamborn of Colorado, who heads the caucus, said, "We strongly believe that Jerusalem should be recognized as the capital of Israel with no waivers and no caveats." The Jewish Daily Forward reports that the Conference on Jewish Material Claims Against Germany announced today that they have asked their ombudsman to investigate how top officials at the conference handled an anonymous letter received back in 2001 that could have reduced and stopped a multi-million-dollar fraud at the organization. As we reported to you last month, Chairman of the Claims Conference Julius Berman, who has faced growing calls for an investigation into the matter, announced in May that a committee would look into the handling of the letter and decide on appropriate action. And today, the committee's chairman, Reuven Merhav, told board members that a decision was made to refer the matter to Ombudsman Shmuel Hollander, citing him being both independent and possessing the relevant expertise to investigate the facts surrounding the letter, which accused several Claims Conference employees of committing fraud back in 2001. The accusations were initially investigated by top conference officials, but then no further action was taken, and the fraud continued for another 8 years until it was discovered in 2009. Merhav said that Hollander would provide his findings to the Select Leadership Committee, who would present them to the Claims Conference Board of Directors meeting next month. The Women of the Wall group said they would be reading from a Torah scroll when they gather for prayer at the Western Wall this coming Sunday, Rosh Chodesh, to mark the beginning of the new Jewish month. Last month, Israel's Minister of Religious Services, Naftali Bennett, had asked the group, who advocates for equal rights for women at the holy site, to not read from the Torah at their last prayer service in an effort to help maintain a measure of calm at the wall, and the women of the wall had agreed to the compromise. However, as you may recall, thousands of ultra-Orthodox gathered in protest at that service last month, with some throwing various items at the women. Citing last month's aggression, the Women of the Wall group today said that they would not be bullied, and seeing that there was no lack of aggression last month without them reading from the Torah, there was no reason to not read from a Torah scroll at this Sunday's service. Women of the Wall director Leslie Sachs said, "We're not there to provoke, we just want to do the new month service, which does include the Torah scroll." Several leading ultra-Orthodox rabbis are calling for a mass prayer opposite the women this Sunday, although according to a Haredi news site, Kikar HaShabbat, this recent call included an admonition against violence and to, quote, behave in accordance with the Torah. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Thursday, June the 6th, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader.